can't just say to your brain, focus. It doesn't work that way. Here is how to get your brain into a focus state, step by step. Let's first explain why you can't focus. That's first of all because you are multitasking. Research has shown that when you're multitasking, what actually happens in the brain is switching from one task to another. So there is this thing called context switching. Every time you switch from one task to another, you lose the focus and you need to rebuild it again. And research has shown that once you lose the focus, it takes 10 to 20 minutes to regain it. So every time you switch to another task, it takes almost 20 minutes to regain the focus back. Multitasking can be anything from you coding and responding to emails at the same time, you brainstorming on your business and walking on treadmill at the same time, you preparing presentation for work but responding to your friends' messages at the same time. Reason number one why you can't focus is because you are multitasking. Number two why you can't focus is because your brain is craving easy dopamine. Dopamine is a chemical in our brain that is released when we get a reward, and dopamine makes us feel happier. Social media creators knew this, so they made social media in a way to release dopamine all the time. With every new video, we will have some dopamine released in our brain, and that is why social media is so addictive, because our brain loves activities that are going to bring us dopamine all the time and make us feel light and happier. Number two why you can't focus is because you don't know how to resist easy dopamine. And reason number three is because the task you have in hand is too big and overwhelming. When the task is too big, the brain sees it as a threat. When the brain sees something as a threat, it triggers a stress response. So the brain will release some chemicals that are in charge of responding to stress. In turn, those stress chemicals will inhibit prefrontal cortex. And prefrontal cortex is the part of the brain that is in charge of making decisions. So basically, when you have a too big of a task, you won't be able to make good decisions. So instead of working, you would choose to do some other easy tasks such as scrolling on social media or going out with friends, simply because you're not able at that time to make good decisions. Here are some ways how you can fix that. The first thing is implementation intention. Know what you would be doing, when, and where. Because research has shown that we are way more likely to perform a task if we know when, where, and what we would be doing. So for example, I say to myself, I'm going to go to the library from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. and I'm going to edit YouTube videos. In that way, I have the clear when, what, and where. I don't need to think, I just execute it. So take your calendar and put when, what, and where you would be doing a task. Number two is if a task feels too big, you should chunk it in smaller portions. For example, if I say I want to record YouTube videos for 2 months, that's 25 videos. That feels overwhelming. But what is smaller tasks that I could do? I could record 3 videos every day, because 3 videos per day doesn't feel too overwhelming, and I'm actually way more likely in that way to do it because my brain is not going to trigger a stress response. So if a task feels too big or too overwhelming, chunk it into smaller pieces. Number 3 is put your phone out of your reach. Phone is the number one way to get easy dopamine, and it's one of the most difficult things to resist. The best thing to do when you want to focus is to put your phone in another room, because even if you turn it off and you don't use it, neuroscience research has shown that the brain, if it's in the same room, it still uses up some of your capacity. That is why the best thing is to put it in another room, or at least far away from your reach, so you can just easily grab it and go start scrolling. What I do when I'm at the library, I leave it in my locker. In that way, I cannot use it, but I have no other choice than to work. Number 4 is implement your own reward system. We already mentioned that when we get a reward, dopamine is released, we feel happier, and that is why the brain is searching for activities that bring us a reward because we would feel happier. If you're doing some activity that doesn't bring an immediate reward, such as working out, when you go work out, you won't see the reward immediately because it takes months, maybe even years to get to your dream body. You can pair it with another activity that makes you feel happy, such as listening to your favorite music. Or if you're studying for exams, you can pair that activity with drinking your favorite drink, whether it's coffee, matcha, or maybe tea. So that is why you want to implement your own reward system. I talk more about this concept in my other videos, so make sure to subscribe to stay up to date with my channel. And if you want to rewire your brain to be focused, that's exactly what we do in my coaching program. To learn more about the program and see if you would be the right fit, you should schedule a 30 minutes discovery call with me by clicking on the link that is in the description of the video. So you click on that link, you choose the date and time that works for you, and we talk one-on-one and see how we could rewire your brain to focus. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching and see you in some of my future videos. Until then, stay focused